Welcome to explore roots and connections with Christine Reeves and her guest, Jeanette. Grab a coffee and join us while we explore family ties, bonds, and culture that grow the framework of social work values. The values we will be covering are the respect and dignity and worth of all people, promoting social justice, pursuing truth and reconciliation, valuing human relationships, preserving integrity in professional practice, and maintaining privacy and confidentiality, providing competent professional services. So this discussion is going to be a laid-back discussion, so just put your feet up and listen to us talk. So for now, we're going to do a self-reflection. So, Jeanette, how would you
Uh-huh.
describe your cultural background and its influences on your values and beliefs?
Hey, I had a very wonderful background in my youth. We lived in Rwanda, and I was 5 when we moved to Hamilton, Ontario. But it was my father and my mother raised 5 children, and I remember my father used to have a skating rink in the backyard, and he posed it for about a week to have frozen ice that we all skated on. And that's my background that I can remember when we moved to Hamilton, Ontario. My mother worked in a big house, and we are French. Sorry, we are. I couldn't speak a word of English when I came to Hamilton, Ontario. And my culture, do I remember? That's the French culture is very different. We are a big family. We had my grandma and aunts and uncles, and because her mom, my mom's mom, had 13 children, so we had a lot of cousins that we always associated with and went to their house, and it was I think it was a good raising up, especially in Hamilton. I loved my friends there, and as I grew up. Um, I remember my brother, we used to walk the railroad ties, right on, going to school, all of us together. And it was, I think it was a beautiful raising up in Miranda, Canada. I think that's all I can remember of my youth and my upbringing. Thank you.
Did you live in a French house or was it English?
In Miranda, it was all French till I was 5.
So
I
your
only spoke French,
so you only spoke French till you were 5 years.
only French.
And your dad, did he and what did he work out of the house or was he a home?
Oh, my father, no, he was a miner.
A minor. Wow.
Yes, a minor in the Rwanda.
And your mom just took care of the cooking and
She raised a lot of other children with us. Babysat. She brought babies home and looked after all all of us at the same time, her children and other people's children.
wow.
So that's what she did all day long, as
And
mine did.
do you attend school?
I don't remember Rwanda at 5. I was only 5 when we left, so I don't remember that at all.
So
Then.
how did you find respecting your family's dignity? Was there things in your family that how did you get the worth of people around you or the care of people in the home? How,
Is that one after, like in Hamilton, where I can remember more there?
in your background, it doesn't matter what age you were, but
Okay.
how you began to respect the dignity of a human being.
Oh, yeah. So, well, I'm Roman Catholic, so I really my mother went to mass a couple of times, but otherwise we did kind of our own. We went to mass. I went to mass when I went through the school, and that I can remember. when I was young. And as I got older, yes, around the people around me, and the older I got, it was I had only really one good friend out of that, all the bringing up. We lived also in Elliott Lake, Dunlop, which was called in a trailer. So there was a lot going on around the surroundings and the people.
Mm.
And it was Indigenous people that I had my best friend there. And it was very hard, though, very hard life, because my father worked also uh, very hard in contracting. He was a carpenter, so he also worked. Uh, my mother, I don't remember what she did. She also took in children, babies, lots of babies that in the home that we were.
So how did religion, to focus back on Mass, how did religion give you that idea that people are worth more than what, um, that are worth something and not in money?
Well, people are worth everything. The people that surround you, you learn a lot from their lives and our lives, and I think it's very important to have. Um, well, like I said, friends were very limited to me because I chose my friends very well and grew up with them that way as I become now. Even or surrounding around the people, it's always been looking through my eyes of helping. Um, I was very busy also. Are you going to talk about the adult part or the child part of my life?
I think just your what you value. What are your values that you learned from your roots? The value
My
for
oh, my roots of growing up. I had a very good, or in some things not so good, but I won't go into that part. Um, Growing up, but still, I did go to. For me, I love uh, going to church. We used to go once a week, but I'm totally with God, I guess you would say, um, in my surroundings and in the learnings of the people. And I watched a lot of just watching people. I love doing that, and just seeing such different cultures around me
Mm.
and where we lived. And it was, I think it was just beautiful things that I saw and learned. And I became I'm very quiet. So it's just, it was, it was a good life. I don't have too much to say about it, but
I think I think you being my mother, I
yeah,
know
you know me more
you.
than I know myself.
It it's funny because the kinds of things that you're expressing, I know religious life um, was a part of our family too. Me, Dad, Lisa, and you. And I had a two-parent family like you did. Um, and the ways I view the world, I guess, was a lot to do with what you taught us in our culture. Our culture, we lived in Gatineau, Quebec. I mean, that's the most I remember. You taking us to mass every Sunday, and it was a big deal to go to mass. I mean, you would dress up, and I could see you try to read scripture and things like that. But spirituality, I find in our family unit was always kind of something that we did, not always something that we prayed about when I was younger. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying exactly, because I didn't mention that. Yes, that's 100% right, what you said. So you see more than I do.
Yeah, and you talked about grandpa being this miner and hard labor, um,
Mhm.
how things were tight because you had a trailer to live in with five kids. I mean, those trailers weren't very big, were they?
No, well, it was a bigger trailer. Yeah, we had
Is it-
bunk beds in those days, but that's
And
yeah, we learned that was a tough life though. That was we didn't have electricity, and my father worked, so we didn't. That was not a good place to be. I
no,
remember, no, no, my mother was crying a lot, and
a lot of hard work that she had
yeah,
for the kid.
yeah. So it was that was a bad time in all of our life, but she always showed um, positively herself. Was she was a true mom though. She was worked so hard, went to get water out of the lake to bring home because the water was my sister got yellow jaundice, so for her to carry water up to the trailer, it was difficult. I remember that part growing up.
Somehow, your dad, he had some challenges too, being five kids, being a sole provider at the time. She made,
Yes,
but he had a drinking problem, and you witnessed him
yes.
having, you wanted your dad closer, did you not? Did you feel like,
Oh, definitely. Even though he did become an alcoholic, but he was a very good, kind alcoholic.
right,
uh,
right.
yeah, so he didn't. He missed a lot of work days in those days, and my mom looked after this big house in Hamilton, so he came home drunk a lot of the times, and so it was difficult. But he loved us all. He was a gambler, also, and I we grew up with that as I was a teenager and met my husband, and he came over quite a bit of times that he noticed him, and he loved my father because he was a kind gentleman, beautiful heart, really. But he just had a drinking problem. But he never hurt anyone. We
No,
just had to go pick him up in bars, and my daughter wouldn't go. I'm not you, Christine, but your oldest sister used to go get him at the bar and bring him back home and roller skates, and had to pick him up. But otherwise, those are the memories. And I met my husband there, so we got married and had Christine and Lisa.
and I think
Um,
too, when we talk about family units and the
mhm,
occurrence of different dynamics of family,
mhm,
that it's been a very hard go with
mhm.
a minor and having to work so hard, and you as being what, the second eldest or the third? I think you were
No, I was the second. Yeah, my brother
back
was older than me. I was second.
to the five.
Yeah,
So
the five.
what you taught us, I mean, when I think of social justice, I mean,
Mm,
your mom had a voice, and I think she used her voice to empower her children to see
yes.
what's wrong and then to fight for what you need or fight for what you have. Do you,
Yeah, to be independent uh, and loving. And I learned a lot because I went to hairdressing school at 15. So she always uplifted me that you're going to do this. This is good. So I took hairdressing. I never became a hairdresser. I became a mom.
grandma? She was she was kind of like this, always on that politics and always fighting for people.
Oh, yes. She was really a justical woman. She used to walk Parliament Hill with signs for governments, and yeah, she was a real trooper.
As a
But
daughter of a social justice, I consider her an advocate.
activist, she was an activist, yes.
I mean, yes,
When I was married and I didn't live at home anymore, she was truly
this
an
little
activist
act,
at Parliament Hill.
I think that that probably framed your ideas of valuing human beings, to fight for them and to have a care for them.
Yes, for other people, for others, yes, definitely.
That's
Fighting for others. Yeah, you have to
about,
continually do that.
yeah, and not lazing around. You weren't the type of person that was
No.
to sit down. You were constantly moving, eh? As a family?
Well, yes, yes, I was not like my mama's political, politics of it. I'm not political at all. I'm more of who's around me, of who I can help in our church, the community. is very important to
Mhm.
be totally in community. Without that, you don't really have too much uh, by helping people that way.
And I think self-reflecting when I think about how our family meetings went. I mean, Dad did a lot of the organizing of the family meetings, but you always had a say in how the discussion was going to go when we had to make big decisions as a family, like moving. And
Oh, oh yes. Yeah,
I think
we
that was a
as a family.
key to
Yes. He
understand.
worked he worked a lot, so you kids, you know that as the two girls. You he was out a lot. I was pretty well on my own to raise because he was always a lot away. But we did have family discussions when we had our house in Gatineau,
When
Quebec. Yeah.
a lot of this moving, I think, affected me. And culturally, we had to deal with different cultures as our family.
Yes. Yes, we went all over, right up to New Brunswick.
And I think even in Quebec, me being English, there was a big break
Oh yes.
communications with other
Yeah.
people due to the language barriers we had to
Oh
overcome.
yes, because we went back to Rouyn-Noranda because my husband worked at a Canadian Tire there,
Yeah,
and you girl, it was all French, no English, very little English, and that was the most difficult year.
I think that really shaped me though to look at expressions on people's faces. You know,
Mhm.
read people in their body language more so than their language of words.
Yeah, that's true. You
Yeah.
learned a lot there.
I think that's how we learned was by body language.
I think so because they didn't speak English, so you had to
Oh,
do
so
something.
I watched, and I don't, Lisa, but I know I watched. I watched people and how they interacted together. So when we had our parties or you had friends over, I would always, I may not have understood a lot of what was being discussed, but I looked at a lot of the faces and the happy and the sad or I was just watching all the time.
Yeah, because you were small. Lisa didn't have to worry about. She was on her own page. She's a little more of a rebel, and you were more quiet, but I think you learned a lot.
I did
The schools, you didn't understand what the schools were about. It was terrible for that part.
know, but I knew that you were there for me to back me up
Oh, yeah, definitely. Of course.
when that
Yes.
teacher called me stupid, you were right there and you stripped her up and down and put me in a different class. And
Yes. Oh, that was in Gatineau.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
remember that really, really well.
Yes. So you do remember that. That's another cultural place that we lived in
Yeah, there was,
there.
and people's languages, again,
Mm,
just observing, listening
yeah,
and observing facial expressions was mostly
that's right.
what we,
That's right. You learned a lot on Gruyere
yeah.
school.
And I think you and Dad in the communications of family, I think how we handled conflict.
Hmm.
It wasn't always in a meeting. Sometimes we knew where the power source was, which was the leader of the family was Dad.
Yeah, he took care of his family very, very well.
When we
He
misbehave,
worked hard.
wait till your dad gets home.
Yeah, well, that really didn't work that well because, I had to be more authoritative with you, but I wasn't. So, but I think I was a good mummy.
How do you think the different dynamics, like it was only the two of us, you had five, how that changed your worldview?
Well, yeah, well, that was enough. That's all I could handle. The Lord knows 2 girls were enough for me. I thought because Lisa was such a rebel, so we had a lot of problems with that little one. And you were the quiet one, so I didn't worry about you that much because you were just happy wherever you were, as long as I was there. But no, it was good. You had a good racing. Been all over because we were Fredericton is where we live. That's right, Fredericton, and that's another place where you learned a lot there. So growing up, so there's a lot of things that I think you saw and learned, and myself also, because I did most of the raising, but I wasn't that strict. So you know,
Right.
but it was we made do.
We did make do, and I know that our traditions, Christmas, Easter,
Oh yes, those are very special.
yeah, they were very special. We learned it at school, but you also made it special at home.
Mhm. Yes.
You made sure we had a chocolate bunny. You made sure that and when it was Christmas time, you would take out the manger and then you would read us these stories. I think it really
Mhm.
me.
Yes, every year.
I think I feel like I honor traditions of all people.
Well,
Um,
yeah, because it's all different cultures of Christmas time, and
yeah,
I think all of them are so beautiful. Also, uh, ours was very special because we did the same thing every year. Uh, Even if our families are far away, it was always the nativity was the most important thing. That more than the gifts,
and that
more than.
consistency,
Mhm.
eh? Consistency because doing things traditionally over and over,
Mhm.
that's kind of the sustenance of um I guess like a foundation or a floor that we can rely on. You taught us
Yeah, it's a,
a
mhm.
basis for how we handle conflict and problems that happen in our life. We go to
Mhm.
would go to the church when things don't go right or pray.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's very important
I
to our family.
values and morals were built from, and like you said, our religion and our morals and values of how
Mm,
family units have
right.
conflict. I think your
So,
mom did the best she could in the circumstance.
oh yes, yes, she did.
And so did you. I think that,
And look at that. Look how you turned out. Look how Lisa turned out. You're
yeah,
two good girls.
but we
No drugs, no nothing involved.
value human beings. We value life. I mean, I know from what dad taught me too on that spectrum was, even if you sweep the streets, you do it to the best of your ability because
That's
everything
right.
has worth, you know.
Yes, that's very true.
I think he taught you that too, being in a marriage that um to rely on each other for what we cannot do. I think,
Yes, that's important.
yes,
Marriage is important today.
and integrity.
Then,
Even dad had an integrity,
mhm,
the truth. I think that you lived a life that wasn't falsified by ideals you both didn't honor. Like you honored religion and spirituality as a
mhm,
base to honor
right.
family.
And we honored each other, respected each other as a married couple and our children. You,
Yes,
respect is very important in a marriage. To
respect.
and
That's
mhm,
huge. That's huge.
yes. So if you don't have that,
No,
I don't think you can go.
that trust
Far.
level, isn't it?
Mhm.
If we
And
have,
marriage now is not marriage. Marriage, they live together. So that's really too is very sad because you get to know each other first, and then you do the just be friends. And it's too bad that that's not happening in this
in our world today.
time. Yeah, I find it very sad.
And did you ever confront anything that made you question your worldview? Did you ever question your ideals or your morals? Did it ever come to a point where you had to second guess things? Today,
Not really, not really. I can't say that.
pretty ingrained for you, right?
We're married for 50, well, it'll be 59 this years together, and I still have the same morals. I don't think I'd want to change anything there.
Me too. I did wander off, I think, from the church for a little while, but I always came back to what I was taught as a young.
Yeah, that's right.
And
No, I'm quite happy where I am right now.
have you encountered situations where your values or beliefs and conflicted with your values when you say, I don't know, a friend who had different values than you?
Well, I have friends like that for sure, but that didn't matter to me. That was, I respected them for everything.
Ah,
I don't know. I'm just I like everybody. I don't see anything bad in the people that I, even though they're not quite my friends of every day, but I respect them
you,
and
you accept
I
that,
care for them. I love them. I love them too.
even if
But
different religion or different.
yeah, oh yes, it doesn't matter. That's I respect that. I respect whatever they are, and they respect me. Some don't, but we still speak with each other. But oh, I
I
love everybody.
I think that these roots that you've formed as me growing up, I think it helps in my practice being a social worker,
Hmm.
the dynamics of an imbalanced family where alcoholism had
Yes.
on the family because you didn't have that whole person,
No.
but that loss was reconciled in the end, wasn't it?
Well, definitely. Of course. Yes. Even though
Reconciled,
the past, a lot of people hurt, but that's the hurt, and you forgive, and you go on, and if you don't forgive, you can't. That's impossible to live your life.
it's hard to have social justice and forgiveness, do you think?
Um,
Social
but it's a must, though. Even in social justice, you have to have the forgiveness.
to empower others,
Yes.
able to
Yeah.
advocate,
To see others
uh,
in a way that that's through our spiritual selves also, though. But
right?
I believe that.
I think that in a given situation, there's so many different cultures, Africans to,
Hmm.
I don't know, Middle East and um, the French side, all of the Western to the Eastern.
Hmm. Yes.
My worldview was looking at things on TV where cowboys and Indians were fighting each. I guess I have to break down.
That's another world.
I have to break down certain things when we moved to the island, and I and
Yes, that's another place too that
told
we learned a lot
there was
on the island.
yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of
Victoria. Yes,
around the area,
it's
and
yeah, there's a lot of indigenous people there too. You went to school, and that taught you a lot through that
it did. I
era.
was afraid of them though. I didn't.
Yeah.
They were bad, and they wanted to skin my head.
Well, those were the naughty ones. So I took you out of that school and put you into another.
But I had this idea of them that was wrong, and I think it was some of the television
Yeah.
reframed my ideas of human beings and values.
Hmm.
I think it did affect me a little bit, the television shows. I have to break down and take away parts of my judgment against other cultures, certain cultures that I've grown up with.
Yes. Yeah, but you did learn a lot.
I did learn a lot by kind of breaking that down in
Hmm.
school. I think it taught me to learn more about the person. I think the more we learn or hang out with, like you said, you had a friend who was indigenous in the trailer,
Yes, I loved her. Yes.
and
She
that
was
was
I learned a lot from her.
yeah. And I don't know if that was always shared when we talked because
No, I forgot to mention her because she was my best friend living
yeah,
in that Elliott Lake area, Ontario. So we lived in a trailer then. So we did all kinds of things together.
you were busy
Not bad things, just good things with her. I learned a lot from her and her family
and you were
and what she did.
were a busy mom, so you didn't have time to tell me stories about that.
Well, no, that came out because I thought about her and I still see her
That's
visually.
amazing.
Never heard from her again. It's too bad because I would have loved
Do you
to
think
do that.
do you think if you would have told me those a story about your friend being indigenous, that I may have had a different framework to look at
Um,
when we
I
moved?
don't know. I don't know because you were so young. I didn't really think of. telling you that, or even as
Think
an adult. I never really thought of her until I thought about her now.
we're talking. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Sorry about that, dear.
Do you do you think that our interactions about like dad being sick in the hospital now,
No, yes,
you
very
know,
hard.
and we
Yes.
do you think that we have to be advocates in that environment? Do you think there's a portion of us in social justice to do something? I don't know.
Well, in that hospital he is in,
Yeah,
I don't really see any justice the way they are.
because they're so
They,
short-staffed, do you think?
well, short staff, and what I'm seeing, they're good to the patients. I can't say that, though they are good.
Yeah.
It's it's just that they hurry and they just want the bed. They're I can see them, um, the coldness in there.
And so we're used, because of your framework of a child caring for humans and the way your mom
Mhm.
dealt with babies and looking at how tired other families
Yeah.
when
Mhm. But
these people working
that
at
was such a different time because
different
the
time.
hospitals were not the same as they are now. It's a colder atmosphere than it was in my day.
I agree. I agree. I find that mostly it feels like we're numbers.
We are numbers.
But when we think about it in social work, we're trying to take back the human dignity.
Mhm. Yeah, because I see the social worker, of course, that we
Yeah,
had at the hospital at this time. She was wonderful.
yeah.
She was, I think, a true one that we helped us a great deal of what we
Listening.
is for the future of what we're going to be doing. So I respected her. It's not too many, and the physio. Physio people are very good too. The therapists and voice, and they were very good. It's just the atmosphere when we're the sitting and I the coldness is there. I feel it.
And I think that even in our presence, we bring a certain kind of warmth there.
Oh yes, I think they are looking at us because you know we're different.
Well,
Sitting there, we
we're
say our grace, and they're looking, and
we stare,
things like that.
we still, no matter where we are, we still have the framework that we've
Oh
grown.
yes, definitely.
And I think we have a really good framework in order to respect human dignity.
Yes, because we're not used to being in the hospital. We're very healthy individuals, I must say.
And
This is a
with
very big trauma
with
for
all
us.
ethical and society's rules or regulations and
Mhm.
how healthcare works, I think that we can still bring our little part into that environment
Oh
to,
yes, and I think we do
I think we,
show because we're there every day now. If you remember this part of our 2.5 weeks now, and I think being there, I don't see too many people come as long as we have been there to support their loved ones. I don't know why. I was asked that question this morning of why they're not there, helping them with their way of after they do the physio. I just don't notice them too much
no.
there. I
And
find it sad.
I think it is sad. I think there's a lot of disengagement in family when
And
they're,
they're older, right? They're older, and I think they don't have time. They're working people, and maybe they go at night because we never stayed after 7. There might be something going on after that, but we're pretty well to the day people
yeah,
all day.
that's right.
That's different.
Well, being a social worker, I think it's the kinds of values and morals do carry forward, and it does build up a framework of,
Mhm.
and being honest and true to ourselves. And I want to thank
Mhm.
you for spending this time with me. this morning, Mom?
Well, I must say, I think you're going to make a fantastic social worker. I'm into that.
Amen to that one. Thank you so much.
Okay, dear.
We're going to close this podcast and thank you for listening.
Thank you, dear. Bye.